Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Sleep Mechanics and Sleep Talk series. On this episode, I'm going to be discussing strategy for the upcoming New Year's event. Now, this is one that I spent a lot more time than I thought I would on today, as is a lot of the case with any time that I'm working with the Rain on X map rewards tool. And today, I've got quite the video for you because we've got in this single Google tab, all of these, I've got 76 tabs of Rain on X opened. So you know it's going to be a doozy. 77th tab is my spreadsheet, which I left untitled. In typical me fashion, I oftentimes forget to title my spreadsheets. But yeah, we've got 76 tabs of Rain on X open from simulations that I ran to get you guys this data. So I'm hoping you guys enjoyed the video. Please stick around for most of it because I think it'll be a really, really helpful video for determining what strategy you want to go for when looking to plan where to go to for the upcoming New Year's event and what to do while you're there. So I just want to talk about, so what is the event? This event, in the event, basically we're getting coins, which is an exchange shop. We're getting boosted dream shards. We're getting multiplied skill trigger rate. We're getting cooking rate increased week 2. We're getting boosted spawn rates of all the new Pokemon that came out this year. It's a lot of things to consider. So there are a multitude of reasons for why you could pick any of the islands. And I think that each island has its own value to some extent. And I just want to discuss what the differences between the islands are. So, first thing, week 1, coins. Now, I made 2 different calculations for week 1 coins and week 2 coins. As you can see here, the calculations are slightly different, but for the most part, the results are about the same. The difference here is, and here's where I had so many tabs of Rain on X open. This is week 1. If you get balanced sleep, what is the expected output of the coins for that week? Interestingly, the tab seems to be struggling to stay open because I have so many tabs, but you'll have to just trust me when I say that the way that I got these numbers was I used the map rewards calculator in the Rain on X tool that calculates about the amount that you would get for how many are expected for that amount of drowsy power in that sleep style. I logged this for all the sleep styles, and I calculated for 500,000 Snorlax strength up to 5 million Snorlax strength as a lower bounds and upper bounds. Now, I know the lower bounds of 500k is actually not that reasonable because new players probably aren't getting 500k on night 1, so it's really not that much of a consideration, and that is a flaw in my research here. And I don't have greater precision to go beneath that point. So, I'm sorry if that's you. By the time that I thought about that, it was already a bit too late, and there was no way I was going back and doing all these simulations again. So, I apologize if that is you, but I want to get this video out in time. Anyway, I then did this for every island for 500,000 and 5 million as a minimum. I rounded the 500,000 one down to the lower amount of what it could be instead of taking the decimal. And I rounded the 5 million one up every time, once again, because I was trying to create a lower bound and a higher bound of how much you could get from being there. And as you can see, interestingly, Old Gold Power Plant actually does worse. When I did my Dream Shard farming video, I found that Old Gold Power Plant was by far the best for Dream Shard farming. But in terms of these event rewards, it looks like it's actually performing slightly worse. At a difference of about 58 at Lapis Lakeside, 57 at Top Hollow, 58 at Cyan Beach for maximum. And for the lower bound, and it's looking about the same of the 500k. But the upper bound, those 3 islands are doing by far better. Cyan Beach, Top Hollow, and Lapis Lakeside. So that's an interesting thing to see Old Gold Power Plant doing slightly worse. But overall, a difference of 7. I mean, 7 per day is nothing to scoff at. overall, that's over the course of a week, that's 49 per week. That's almost 100 event exchange coins that you'd be missing out on. But overall, if you are picking Old Gold Power Plant for other reasons, then there are other reasons to be considered. Once again, if you have a good team for the Old Gold Power Plant, similar to myself, then being able to reach a higher power on here, even though these islands are better for that purpose, being able to reach a higher power on the Old Gold Power Plant may actually lead to you getting more event exchange tokens. So that is something we consider. Now, and I did also do this again for week 2. The reason why it's different is because week 1 has different boosted spawns, week 2 has different boosted spawns. Yes, I did account for that and run an entire other set of simulations for the week 1's boosted spawns and week 2 boosted spawns. And the numbers didn't change all that much, but the results pretty much the same. Old Gold Power Plant fares a little bit better. I think that's because the Old Gold Power Plant unique spawns, like the Agron, the Vikavolt, they're all boosted week 2. But notable things, if you want coins, don't go to Snowdrop and don't go to Greengrass. Both weeks, it fares significantly worse than both those islands, than all the other islands in the game, for coins. And that's going to be a trend, because when we go to talking about candies, week 1 has a candy boost, 1.25 times the amount of candy you get. So if you want to take advantage of that particular boost, then you're going to be wanting to go off these numbers. And as you can see here, pretty much the same. Old Gold Power Plant fares a little bit worse than Lapis Lakeside, Top Hollow, and Cyan Beach. But overall, they're about the same. Lapis, Top, Cyan, Snowdrop Tundra, and Greengrass Island both do worse. Now, I think the primary reasons for that, I don't know about Snowdrop. It just has to do with something with the spawns that are there. Greengrass, it makes total sense. It has a notable lack of most of the 3-star styles in the game, and those are some of the most valuable ones. So missing those 3-star styles is just nerfing it hardcore compared to the others. I can't explain it for Snowdrop as easily. But week 2, Dream Shards are boosted. Now here we see a much bigger difference and slightly different trends. Lapis Lakeside, I did the same thing here for Dream Shards. Round down, round up, 500,000, 5 million. As you can see, the lower bound is about the same, so if you can't get to a really, really high Snorlax strength, it doesn't really matter where you go. If you can't get beyond that 500,000, then Dream Shards, you're going to be getting about the same amount no matter where you go. But as for the 5 million, if you go to the upper bound, then it varies heavily. Lapis and Old Gold are going to be your best bets. So overall, this looks like a great event for Lapis Lakeside if you're looking for those spawns. But a big part of a lot of people's decisions of where to go are the Pokemon hunts. Now, I've kind of categorized them. Now, take my categorizations with a grain of salt, because every account is different and what every account needs looks different. I kind of categorize these as S tier, a Pokemon that every account can use, is a strong Pokemon. There's not a single team in the world that, if you had a good version of this Pokemon, would not benefit in some capacity. A tier are a lot of Pokemon, or are Pokemon that are generally pretty good. Most people can make use out of them, but I can understand why someone wouldn't desire to hunt them. B tier is like, if you understand what you're doing, they're pretty good, but kind of middle of the road in terms of how many people can make good usage out of them or how many people need to hunt them. And F tier are just the ones that I think pretty much nobody is hunting. And overall, I've kind of categorized them, but consider your account, consider what you need. And when it comes to picking an island for spawns, if that's what you're looking for, then ideally you're going to be wanting to choose the island that has the most amount of things that you want and the least amount of things that you don't want. Because if you have more things that you don't want spawning, then that waters down the pool, the potential pool for the boosted spawns that you want. Meanwhile, the pool, if the pool is the smallest, like let's say you want just Weavile or just Sneasel, that's probably what a lot of players are looking to do week 2, which I have a lot of things to comment about that. I gave Sneasel a little asterisk here because there's something interesting going on week 2 with that. But that's going to have the slightly boosted spawn rates is going to have the highest effect to get you what you want to see when it is the only spawn that is boosted. Because those other spawns that you don't care about aren't taking up the additional possible spawns. So, Comfey, Cramorant. I mean, I think those only spawn at Lapis and Cyan, but you'd have to look through them yourself. I didn't even put that information in here because it's a lot, and feel free to look that up yourself and figure out which fits best to your team. But yeah, Candies. The asterisk with the Candies research is that, yes, you may get more candies at Greengrass or you may get less candies at Greengrass and Snowdrop. But if you're getting less candies at Greengrass and Snowdrop, it doesn't matter if they're the candies that you want. If you want Sneasel candy specifically, then the only way to get that is to go to Snowdrop. So this whole part contains that asterisk that you need to be considering when looking to choose an island for this event. Dream Shards, that one's pretty much going to be the same. Now, the final thing, or another thing that I did want to discuss was Sneasel specifically. I know that a lot of players are interested in Sneasel, heavily interested in Sneasel, because it is boosted. Now, and like I said, it is the only spawn that's boosted at Snowdrop. I want to give a bit of a disclaimer here because Snowdrop, as we can see, is just like the worst island in every other regard. Both week 1 and week 2, you'll be hurting yourself for coins. A difference of like on the upper end, like a difference of like 14 coins per day. It's about the same at the lowest end, but maybe even like 3 coins per day by choosing Snowdrop over any other island. As far as Dream Shards, you're hurting yourself pretty significantly as well. On the upper end, you're losing like up to 15,000 Dream Shards per night if you can get those higher Dream Shard capacities. Because every island does eventually have a curve off. So it's a pretty expensive hunt. Not in the actual cost to hunt it. However, that is expensive too, given that it is a 16-pip Pokemon. But it's also a very expensive and opportunity cost of where else could you have been during the event. Also, I didn't even run these Dream Shard these Dream Shard calculations. These are the raw numbers. I didn't even multiply these by 1.25 times. So the difference is actually more insane than the numbers that I'm showing you here. So you're costing yourself a lot of Dream Shards, or a lot of potential Dream Shards, a lot of potential candies, a lot of potential coins, the event coins that are boosted for the event, that are being used only during this event, for the opportunity to see a Sneasel. Which, Sneasel is very good. It is arguably the best berry specialist in the game currently. But I just want to see how much is this event actually boosting Sneasel, because it's not greatly boosting its results. It's not even boosting its spawns. It's slightly boosting its spawns. And how much really is that? Well, I ran the calcs here, and it's giving you about, if you're making 100% sleep scores per night, as I assume most players probably are, then it's going to be about a 31 to 32, 33-ish% chance, 1 in 3 sleep sessions, basically. For most of the numbers beyond a certain drowsy power, past like 1.8 million Snorlax strength, roughly. That's pretty good odds, but interesting comparison, I did the same thing outside of the event week. First I did green grass to see how it compared to green grass, and obviously green grass came up worse. 12.6%, 12.5, roughly a third. Don't go to green grass if you're hunting Sneasel. But what's interesting is, I also ran the calculation for what about on non-Sneasel boosted weeks? And the numbers came out higher? At first I was very confused by this, but then I looked around and was like, that's why. I didn't put in pseudo-balanced because in non-event weeks it wouldn't be pseudo-balanced. On event weeks it would be. And the way this calculator works is it assumes that you're sleeping in a way that Sneasel can spawn. So for both of these, it's assuming a dozing sleep style, which, having that pseudo-balanced sleep causes so many other things to spawn that aren't dozing type, that are actually watering down the pool for Sneasel's spawns, that if you're getting dozing sleep, then getting a Sneasel, the odds of getting a Sneasel are actually lower during a dozing sleep during this event than they are on a non-event week when you're getting dozing. Now, you can't necessarily force dozing all the time, but if you're really, really gung-ho about hunting the Sneasel, that is going to be the way to do it, is on non-event weeks, even though Sneasel's boosted, because as you can see here, it's actually a higher percent chance. Now, something that the event has going for it, though, is obviously the fact that it is pseudo-balanced. If you don't get dozing sleep, you have a non-zero chance of catching the Sneasel, which, that chance is obviously going to supersede the, 2% difference that we have here between the 31 and 33%. But it's also, like I said, it's coming at that cost if you have to go to Snowdrop during a really, really nice event. And just for comparison's sake, I was like, well, what if we have an event where it is pseudo-balanced, but Sneasel's not boosted, just to see roughly how much the boost actually boosts our odds of catching the Sneasel. And as you can see here, it's roughly 11%, so it is roughly tripling your odds compared to what it would be should it be pseudo-balanced normally. But watering down the pool with all the other possible sleep types is actually hurting the chance to see the Sneasel. So that's a very, very interesting fallacy. That it's actually a boosted spawn, but it's not if you're getting dozing sleeps type. The boosts for this event will only help you to encounter the Sneasel if you're not getting the dozing sleep type. But obviously, to get the optimal chance of encountering the Sneasel during this event, you'd have to be getting dozing type. But if you're getting dozing type, then it'd be better to do that on the non-event week. It's all very paradoxical, because it's better overall, but worse if you're getting dozing. But obviously, if you're there, you want to get dozing. So it's just very weird. And it is something to consider if you're looking to hunt the Sneasel. Sneasel is a very good Pokemon. If you have nothing else to hunt, then it's a great option. If you don't have concerns about Dream Shards week 2, because week 2 is when you have the Dream Shard boost. And as you can see, that's where Snowdrop Tundra hurts the most. I discussed that more extensively in my Dream Shard video. If you'd like to go watch that, I'll link it in the description. But it's just wild, the difference here. So, for a little bit higher boosted odds of catching the Sneasel, it may not be worth it for your account, especially if you need those Dream Shards. The final thing that I wanted to discuss was splitting sleep sessions. Now, a lot of people just immediately assume that we should not split sleep sessions at all during an event like this, because you want to get a 100% sleep score all the time to get as many event tokens as you can. But I kind of wanted to quantify, how many tokens are we actually hurting ourselves by if we are splitting the sleep session? So I did a few more calculations, which do include splitting sleep sessions. Now, the way that I got this data is I just did for balanced sleep, because the trends are going to be roughly the same on the islands across the different sleep styles, so I didn't go into taking into account every different style this time around. So I just did balanced. And basically, I just made a chart in the Randomics calculator of each sleep style, how many research items they output. I took every 500,000 as a data point again, and just took the research items for every 500,000 and decided to graph them. And they put it in the chart for both 20%, 50%, 80%, and 100%. So the 20% represents if you split your sleep sessions, your nap of the day is worth 20%, and then the rest of your day is worth 80%. This is more for people who don't necessarily have a Go++, and if they were to put their longer session earlier, that'd be putting their phone down for 6 hours. That's not that achievable for most people. So I want to include that data point, even though it's obviously going to be impractical in terms of everything else. 50-50 I put in as well because this is typically the most optimal one for Dream Shard farming. So if your goal is Dream Shards, this might be the split sleep session that you go for. I also put in the 80 and 20, the flip side of that. If you want to still split your sleep session, but you want to have like a majority be on the first one for the sake of optimizing, because then you get more the tokens, because you only get the coins on the first sleep session of the day. And then I compared it to just getting one single 100% sleep score at every island. And then I made charts out of them. I made graphs because I think it's a good way to visualize it. So what do we see here? At the different islands, it depends on which island you go to if splitting your sleep session is going to harm you at all or not, and by how much that is going to harm you. As you can see at Snowdrop and Greengrass, they have such an early flatline that realistically, as long as you're getting like 1 million Snorlax strength, in the case of Greengrass, you only need to be getting 500,000 Snorlax strength, and you're already seeing that even like the 20% sleep is like performing about the same amount in terms of output of the coins. So can you get away with splitting your sleep sessions at Greengrass to get extra spawns, have an extra chance at encountering more of the spawns to catch? Yeah, absolutely. It's not going to harm you that much in the grand scheme of things as far as the coin output goes. If going to Snowdrop, then maybe don't do the 20%. If you're one of those people, maybe hold off, because as you can see here, it does drop it from like 43 down to like 37. That is like 5 per day, instead of a difference of just like 1 or 2 that you get at Greengrass. And 5 per day does add up to quite a bit. However, if you're really trying to go for the coins in the shop, then obviously you're going to be wanting to go to one of the other islands. You're only really going to Greengrass or Snowdrop if you want the specific spawns. You're probably not going to Greengrass if you aren't early game, actually. It's because Greengrass has such a watered down pool. I guess that's one tip. Don't go to Greengrass, most likely. But anyway, if you want Snowdrop, then maybe you can get away with split sleep sessions. That can help you to possibly encounter the Sneasel. But I'd do some math on that as well. For if you're hunting the Sneasel, because having a rarer style, it's probably better to get a higher sleep session or a higher percentage because it is a rarer Pokemon. So splitting at Snowdrop doesn't really make much sense either, but you can do it. Now, as for Cyan, Top, Lapis, and OGPP, as you can see, the 80% really isn't that far off from what the 100% can get you. You're talking about a difference like 45 to 43. It's only like a variable amount of like 2. Even at like the 500k, it's not that big of a difference at all these islands. So splitting 80%, 20% totally makes sense if you can get beyond this 50% or beyond this 500,000 threshold. But then also the 50-50 eventually kind of joins them. It takes a little bit longer, maybe like 1.5 million. Cyan doesn't make much sense, but like you'll always be stunting yourself a little bit. But if you are needing the Dream Shards week 2, then it is worthwhile. Because honestly, and here might be one of my biggest hot takes of the video, but most of the event shop isn't really all that great unless you're looking to like level up one of your Paldean starters. Because the Dreamcoin Exchange here, as you can see all the different options of what's going to be in there. The biscuits, pretty nice. Poke Biscuits, Great Biscuits. The main skill seed is a must-buy. And the Handy Candy S are also kind of nice. But Friend Incense is kind of meh. Dream Clusters, useful, but do you need them? Not necessarily. And as far as how we can get these, though, we've been talking in numbers of like, oh, if you go here, then you can get like 44 per night. 44 across 14 days is 616. That 616 is already gonna just get you the main skill seed and all of the Great Biscuits together and have 16 to spare. So if you're just doing okay at top, cyan, lapis, or old gold power plant, you're going to be able to buy all the best value stuff in this thing easily, especially because there's also the missions, and the missions give us a total of 370 dream coins if you meet all of them, which once again, these should be pretty easy to meet for most players. New players may struggle a little bit with like getting Snorlax to Master 1, especially if they're picking a higher tier island than what they're used to, but overall, you're going to do pretty well and get most of those coins from that. And you're going to be getting some from your friends as well. We don't know how many that's going to be until we actually see how it's turning out. But you're going to be able to buy most of the important stuff from here as long as you're doing okay. So maximizing your coins maybe isn't the most necessary thing overall, unless you are specifically targeting certain things in here. Unless you really want to level your Quaxley or your Fuecoco or your Sprigatito, because you can buy up to 999 of these 3 options. If you're looking to boost one of them, then here's a great opportunity. Maximize your dream coins. This is going to be like the opportunity for you. But overall, you can get away without min-maxing the coins, which is interesting for me to say when I just made an entire video about min-maxing the coins. Now, when it comes to the CRomatic, that's another feature. We have 1,000 Dream Shards for the first use, 5,000 Dream Shards for the second use, 15,000 for the third use, and 40,000 for the fourth use. This adds up every time, so it's going to be 21,000 for 3 uses a day, 61,000 per day if you're looking to use all 4. I personally think that pretty much everyone can make good use out of it once or twice a day. But if you're looking at 3 or 4 times a day, that's bringing up the price pretty substantially. So only do it if you have the Dream Shards to spare. But it's definitely a worthwhile cost if you are only using it that first or second time. If you have extra Dream Shards, go for it. But me personally, I'm only going to be using it once or twice. Maybe even once on just my newer account. Because newer accounts may even struggle to get the 5,000. So something to consider there, especially since you're using it over the course of 7 days. If you have enjoyed the video, maybe learn some strategies that you want to use and employ during this event week, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. A lot of my time was spent on this video today. A lot of effort was put into it because I wanted to get you guys just all accurate information about how you can go about this event, how to min-max the event, how to fit your play style. And yeah, a lot of effort I've put into it, so I would appreciate the like and the subscribe. And comments. Any comments would be appreciated. Anyway, as always, I thank you guys for watching and hope that you have a wonderful day. And a wonderful New Year's week. Bye-bye now.